flow.
It's another emergency episode of the Gluttons for Punishment podcast, or GFP, a Toronto Maple Leafs and NHL podcast hosted by Michael Lepore and Anthony Bruno. And we're doing another emergency episode because the Leafs continue to make a million trades. We can't even keep up at this point. But since our last emergency episode, the Leafs traded Rasmus Sandin to the Washington Capitals for Erik Gustafsson and a 2023 first-round pick. They then shipped Pierre Engvall to the Islanders for a third-round pick. And then they traded a third-round pick to the Vancouver Canucks for Luke Schenn. The human eraser is back where it all started in Toronto. So, Lepore, what are your thoughts on these moves and the new-look Toronto Maple Leafs?
Wow, you're going to throw it all at me at once, eh? Well, I'll start off by saying Kyle Dubas, I guess, chose violence when he looked in the mirror the other day and decided to go full AWOL. We'll start with the deal that has the most parts, and that's the Sandin for Gustafsson in a first. I'm mixed on this one. I'm not going to be one of those guys to pretend that I know a lot about a player that I don't. So as far as Gustafsson goes, I know the numbers. I know this guy, he can score points. He's super high event. But reading online from fans of teams he's played for, the consensus was this guy can win you a game or lose you a game because he's so erratic. He's very, very high event, very, very high event, which is not really suited to the team Dubas is built and the way Keefe has coached. We don't like guys who are erratic, let's face it. And as far as the package itself, okay, Rasmus Sandin, I guess this is where the discussion comes in. What's Rasmus Sandin's ceiling? What is the best possible player this guy can be? Because I don't want to say I think we could have got more than a first, but I'm like okay with it. And I'm not going to say, oh, we should have got 2 firsts or a team's best prospect and whatever, but I don't know. What are the odds with the 32nd overall pick? You're going to, funny, I was at 32nd because it's the Bruins pick. What are the odds that you're going to get a Rasmus Sandin, a capable NHLer who can run a power play? So there's that part of me that thinks that we could have got maybe more for him. But at the same time, I want to see how the rest of this unfolds, because are we going to keep that first round pick? And a lot of people don't think we're going to keep Gustafsson for some of the reasons I mentioned, how he doesn't really suit the lineup. What do you think, Bruno?
Yeah, what all these moves indicate to me, Lepore, are one thing, and it sticks out to me like a sore thumb. I think Kyle Dubas, Sheldon Keefe, and the Leafs front office thought that this team needed to be harder to play against, and we're honestly kind of a little soft. And you know me, Lepore, I hate to talk about this stuff because I hate when people throw out the word soft and you're not hard to play against and you got to play quote-unquote playoff hockey. But this is exactly what all these moves indicate, even going back to Jake McCabe and Sam Lafferty.
100%.
Jake McCabe, tough guy, hits, blocks shots, gritty. Sam Lafferty can absolutely fly, playing on the third or fourth line. He can throw his weight around. Noel Acciari, same thing. Now, outside of Gustafsson, who's primarily an offensive defenseman, Luke Schenn leads the league in hits.
By
All
like
right, that's what
50.
he does. He's the human eraser. He removes you from the puck, and he plays very hard. And what was Pierre Engvall? Pierre Engvall was a 6'5", 6'6" forward with a lot of speed, but guess what? He did not like to throw his weight around. He wasn't hard to play against, and he was a little bit soft, honestly.
Yeah.
So it seems like they are removing all of those guys from the lineup. Same thing with Rasmus Sandin. What was the issue with him, Lepore? A little bit too small, got kind of thrown around in that Montreal series.
Get killed
Hasn't
on the
really
forecheck.
been able to find his footing in the playoffs. They got rid of him as well. So this is a huge indication to me that they thought that they were just not tough enough, and especially not hard enough to play against in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's part of it with Sandin, but I don't want to say it's been dramatic with him, but there was the whole standout with his contract negotiation, and he ended up getting what was the original offer from Toronto. So you could say he lost that negotiation. And then, I mean, let's face it, he saw that Riley extended, and he kind of does what Riley does offensively. And I'm referring to quarterback, a power play. Defensemen are coming in. He wasn't going to get a real opportunity in Toronto. And it's crazy if we think about it. Reverse us back a year or even 2 years. We kind of felt this way about Liljegren. We kind of thought we were done, and we thought Sandin was the man. He scored, was it a power play goal against Montreal in game 2 of that series? He was like, we have this great young offensive defenseman. And it's kind of funny, man. That contract negotiation happened, and disappointment is a strong word, but I don't think anyone is necessarily happy about how Rasmus Sandin has played this year. He's just kind of been there. And I think it's fair to say we all expected him to take a jump up. Liljegren certainly has. So I don't know. Again, I'm very mixed with Sandin because I know the deal had to be made, and I like the deal. I'm really looking forward to see how it unfolds with that pick as well as Gustafsson. But it's sad to see a guy you drafted go. I mean, the whole thing with him playing under Dubas in the Sioux, we developed him. I mean, he seems like a good kid. All the players love him. And I do think he has a decent ceiling. I mean, do I think he can be a top 2 pairing defenseman? I don't know. But if 5 years from now, Rasmus Sandin is like a 3-4 and a power play guy, I mean, good for him. And that's kind of where I expect him to be.
I think we all had higher hopes for Rasmus Sandin. Leaf fans, the Leafs organization, Rasmus Sandin himself. I'm sure he thought at this point of his career, he would be playing higher up in the lineup.
Yeah.
There's just better, more veteran, more reliable players ahead of him on this Leafs depth chart on the blue line. It's as simple as that. Like Sandin, you look at his underlying numbers this year, he's been really good playing against like second, third tier competition. He's not playing against the other team's top guys. And then you look at Erik Gustafsson. Actually, I have a couple of stats here, Lepore.
Nice.
With Gustafsson on the ice this year, the Caps have outscored the opposition by 12 goals with him on the ice at 5-on-5. Okay. And they're plus 29 with him on the ice in all situations.
Okay.
So he's having a really good season as well.
Okay.
But again, this is a move, like I said, I think the Leafs wanted to get tougher, wanted to get more physical, wanted to get a little more size. And another thing, they got some draft picks back. They got a first-round pick in the Sandin deal. They got a third-round pick in the Engvall deal. Now, of course, they sent a third-round pick to Vancouver to get Luke Schenn. But all in all, man, you look at all these moves that Dubas has made. I said it before and I'll say it again. It is very hard to poke holes in any of these moves because he has said the roster as it was just simply not good enough. And now they have replaced like 5 or 6 guys at this point. And now, Laporte, the question is, are they going to make another move? Because they have 9 defensemen now. I'll go down the list real quick. Morgan Rielly, TJ Brody, Mark Giordano, Timothy Liljegren, Jake McCabe, Luke Schenn, Justin Hall, Erik Gustafsson, and Connor Timmins. That is 9 NHL defensemen. Someone's not going to play. Not just someone. Multiple guys are not going to play. So what do they do? Are they going to ship one of these guys out?
Yeah. The thing is, too, right, with that Sandin topic, how much of this whole thing had to do with Timmins signing as well? Here's this kid they trade for. All of a sudden, he's putting up points. I mean, he's not elite, but he's mobile.
Yeah, he's been a very pleasant surprise.
Yeah, but he does what Sandin does. So it's that kind of whole embarrassment of riches thing while we're in a position of strength so we can move one guy out and get an asset. Who's going to move out? I hate to be like Captain Obvious here, or Captain Obvious with regard to what I think or what I want, I should say. Justin Hall would be the one that would make me excited if we could move because it would free up the salary. And with these guys we've brought in, especially Schenn, I mean, does Hall do anything that Schenn can't? Really?
No.
So if you can free up that money and do something else, why wouldn't you? Or it's just a case of the injuries you can face in the playoffs and it's insurance. Fuck it. We'll have this many defensemen. We don't care. I mean, do I think that's what it is? No, but I think it's a possibility. And I just, you go through the list, Bruno. Okay, who's got to move? It's not going to be Rielly. It's not going to be Brody. It's not going to be Giordano
or
McCabe. Liljegren, of course. Like I was laughing. Oh, Liljegren's going to get traded. Why would we trade Liljegren?
No chance. He's
no chance. Liljegren was getting dealt. Keep going. I mean, McCabe just got there.
Yeah, McCabe's going to play. He's got a spot locked up in the top 6 of the playoffs. So you're basically looking at Justin Hall, Erik Gustafsson, and Connor Timmins. Like those are like the 3 guys on the outside looking in at this point.
Yeah.
And
It's gonna be
it's like you
fun.
said, I think it's a depth thing. Like, obviously, it's good to have extra NHL defensemen come playoff time because there's probably going to be injuries. But I almost feel like this is too many guys. And it does seem like another move is on the horizon here. And who knows? They could make this move before we post this podcast. And then we have to do another emergency podcast.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very upset about that.
I'm expecting it. Like I said, I'm already sick of you, Bruno. But if it makes the Leafs better, I'm happy to do it. The other deals, man. Schenn, do you feel all like warm and fuzzy about Luke Schenn?
I don't think Luke Schenn is going to bring as much as people think he's going to bring. Like, I think it's a feel-good story. He started his career here. He leads the league in hits, as I mentioned. It's going to be very hard to root against that guy. He's going to be an instant fan favorite, and I'm all for that. But I don't think this guy's going to like turn the tide of a playoff series, if that's what you're asking here.
I just think it's one of those weird story things, right? How things come full circle from to come back to Toronto. And there's nothing better to me as a Leafs fan. And I say this not insulting to the Leafs, but kind of taking a shot at the Leafs, that a lot of guys don't want to come to Toronto. And I understand that for what they have to deal with when they play here. You look at Schenn, I'm sure a lot of people know his wife is due on trade deadline day. A baby's coming out. So there was even rumors that he wasn't going to be dealt because he didn't want to deal with that. He won his cups with Tampa Bay. So I mean, he'll just enjoy being a father for that time. But he opened it up and said, "Hey, Toronto, let's go." So that's good to know. And there's always chatter about Schenn and the way that he's a good influence in the locker room. And someone made the point, I think it was Dangle, about it's not bad to have a guy in your locker room who spent a couple years playing for the Tampa Bay Lightning. So why not? And for what they gave up, it's all good. It's all good. And it's a feel-good thing. It's a rah-rah thing. I like that move. I really do.
Yeah, not only did he spend some years with the Tampa Bay Lightning and won a Stanley Cup, but he obviously spent a big chunk of his career in this Leafs organization and knows everything about the organization. So it should be a seamless transition for Luke Schenn.
Yeah.